Mainstream media is dying and it's trying to take you with it. Falling ratings, all-time low trust scores, and now even Brian Williams, the voice of the news, has left MSNBC. Is the news finally dead? And is it a good thing, yes? Hello there, you 4,400,000 radiant souls carrying glory into the material realm from the ulterior realms that are beyond the senses. Let's have a look at what's going on our crazy little planet and the conglomerates that run it in alliance with one another and exclude us from the power process. This is a lovely story by Marwan Bishara from Al Jazeera. Corporate news media are expected to run businesses as they have done so under the likes of Fox's Roger Ailes, I think he was a pretty good guy, I've not done any research, and CNN's Jeff Zucker, probably lovely, raking in billions at the expense of serious journalism. The corporate bottom line pressures that Ailes and Zucker advocated have long made journalists unhappy with their profession, with 2/3 believing such pressures were seriously hurting the quality of the news. Well, it is. Have you ever seen that montage of people saying that one-sided reporting is hurting democracy?
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish things simply aren't true without checking facts first.
It might make you think that no matter what channel you're watching, you're being spoon-fed a series of stories that are designed to keep you docile and distracted and prevent you from engaging with reality seriously.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 This ran contrary to the vision of CNN's founding executives who more than 40 years ago hoped to deliver a different kind of broadcast journalism. That's so amazing, isn't it, that perhaps many of these endeavours started with a good intention. We're going to start CNN. It's going to be a great corporation. We're not going to convey fake news. We're going to give people hope and truth and opportunity. Fox News have taken liberties with facts and logic. That is also true. You know, I know like perhaps some of you are more inclined towards it. And sometimes, look, this is the thing that I think people don't observe. Sometimes the energetic tone of a news outlet, now that it's become entertainment, the content don't matter so much. If something matches the energy of a significant percentage of the population, and it seems to me a lot of people are angry, if a news media outlet matches that, they will have some success. And there are some people that are, you know, you may not agree with them, but they have a particular style and manner of delivering information that is attractive or funny or something. And I think there are certain people I've seen on Fox News that applies to. CNN and other networks have brought the pundits to reaffirm or refute whatever is said in Washington instead of investigating factualness and the implications for the general public. That is true, isn't it? No matter how you identify or what kind of news you're into, do you really sit and watch Fox or CNN or any of them and sort of go, what? Like, you know, sometimes it does emotionally affect you. Like, you know, remember I used to be a celebrity. When I like see people criticising me, I think they don't know me, they don't know anything. Then I see another celebrity getting criticised, and that person don't sound like they're a very good guy. And I think, hold on a minute, that's just the same as when I'm being criticised. They're making this stuff up. Probably none of it's true. Doing so, of course, would be costlier as it would require extensive reporting from various parts of the country and the world. It would require extensive reporting from various parts of the country and the world. How about instead we just get people to hate each other over medical procedures, cultural issues? Oh yeah, that would also work. We could do that. It is journalism by opinion and conviction, not by inquiry. Now, I recognise that we're doing journalism and we're not out there investigating the absolute depths of these stories. But what I am trying to investigate is my own nature, my own flaws, my own failings and fallibility, and my own willingness to change, my own quest for redemption. That means to belong to something higher as well as to be forgiven, to create different ideas, a different kind of conversation, to get beyond the limitation, to recognise that us continually being turned one against the other for increasingly trivial cultural issues without wishing to diminish the struggles of people that have fought for their rights and their identities and all those things. It's not helpful. This is a time when we must come together. The only thing we can do to change the world is to come together. And that seems to be the one thing most people aren't prepared to do. Instead of covering real stories and reporting the facts, boring, corporate media has been trafficking in outrage through punditry. In his recent book, How America Lost Its Mind, Thomas Peterson, professor of government and the press at Harvard University, analyses how cable networks have helped deepen American social and political tribalism. Take any of the questions polarizing the country, from healthcare to climate change. These important issues are generally covered in a way that angers and divides, and not in a way that informs and explains. I'm an English person. Did you notice that about me? I've noticed that since Trump and Brexit, everything is Trump and Brexit. Like, it's not enough that Trump was a divisive issue or Brexit was a divisive issue. Now everything's seen along those lines. Medical procedures, the way you respond to it, culture, every single issue is passing through, like all entertainment, all content. That's why I really want this to be a place where it doesn't matter who you vote for, who you voted for in the past, because frankly, whoever it is you voted for in the future, it can't be that anymore. What do you think radical change means? It means we're going to have to do things differently. Why don't we do that thing we've always done and see if it finally works this time? I don't think so. We're going to have to look for new solutions, new alternatives. Of course, that's going to involve collaborating with people that you didn't normally want to collaborate with, tolerating, accepting, loving, looking at things differently, being willing to let go of petty, trivial things in order that we might achieve something great together. And I think that as long as these fears are stoked, as long as we're continually polarized by the idea that everything is divisive, that you've got to pick a side on everything, I don't think that's helping us, man. CNN generated an average of $1 billion in profit annually for its parent company, AT&T. So God, after they'd done everything, after they'd made all that dross, there's £1 billion left over. They should put some of that back into the program making. Thanks to its coverage of Trump, CNN and Fox News became among the greatest profit generators for their corporate parents, and MSNBC began to catch up as well. In 2018, the year after Trump took office, their revenues jumped by 4% to $5.3 billion. What a conundrum for a company when ideologically you're opposed to a figure, but financially you're dependent upon a figure. This is the great conflict. With a little bit of research, you could find out that AT&T and whoever owns Fox and whoever owns MSNBC probably have a lot more in common with one another than they have that divides them. So while we're bickering and squabbling about how we feel about which particular issue on which particular day, they're just ka-ching counting the money. So think about that before you get too emotionally involved in something. I always try this. Before I start wailing and hating on a group, institution or individual, and I try not to do it at all, full stop, I think, what power do they have? What power does this group or person have? If the answer is none, then why are you wasting your time? Why are you wasting your time? These penniless people from the South, these immigrants at the border, they're just victims.
Last thing before we go tonight, as the old song says, we got a thing going on.
Now to get to the nub of the issue, or to give him his proper name, Brian Williams. Brian Williams' resignation from NBC doesn't really matter. Oh, good night. No, we're going to carry on. Other than depriving MSNBC of a familiar, marketable face at a time of plummeting ratings when a number of its major stars have got one foot out of the door, it's not going to change anything about the network. Nor is it going to change anything about the poisonous, profit-driven dynamics of cable news. Easily the most powerful disseminators of misinformation in today's politics. Something Williams participated in with relish. I like that he did it with relish as well, because relish, that's either like a garnish or a sauce, or it's sort of this. That's relish. But it's worth dwelling on because Williams embodies one of the more noxious and pervasive trends in not just US news media, but American life more generally. The normalization of serious ethical breaches and the lack of any serious accountability for people with wealth, power or influence. As you'll read and hear in many stories covering Williams' resignation, he was suspended and demoted by NBC in 2015 for exaggerating an anecdote about a helicopter ride in Iraq, or telling an inaccurate story about his helicopter having been hit by a rocket-propelled grenade. Know what happened to me out there? Helicopter was hit by a rocket-propelled grenade. I was up there in the old whirly-bird. You gotta do what you gotta do to bring polarizing information to the masses to keep them dumb. I was there looking down on Iraq when whoosh, propelled. It was a grenade. Did that really happen? Listen, I don't want to talk about that. We got the weather coming up. For one, Williams didn't just tell a story inaccurately one time, as this phrasing suggests. Williams told the story at least half a dozen times over the years. Can anybody remember that time I was in that whirly-bird and the grenade? Yeah, he's telling us that yesterday. Yeah, I know, but I was up there trying to bring polarizing news. Yeah, you told us that. Yeah, but this time, the Taliban was up there, and ISIS, and they was all up there, and they was ganging on me, and they was trying to inject me, baby, with COVID. Brian, we've heard this story, and each time you add a new bit to it. embellishing its details with each retelling till he eventually started claiming it was his helicopter. Did you know that was my helicopter? I saved up from when I was a boy. I had a dream. All I wanted was my own whirlybird. I saved up putting pennies in a jar. Flew it myself. I could have gone to Top Gun. Of course, my best friend Goose, he died. I went back in a white hat. I was an officer and a gentleman. I drove away. Love lift me up where I belong. Not a different helicopter, an hour ahead of his, as was the reality. Secondly, it wasn't just this one story. When outraged military veterans, hey buddy, you don't lie about a thing like that. This is service. These are honorable people giving their lives. When outraged veterans pointed out Williams was lying about the incident, a month-long NBC investigation soon uncovered at least 11 other self-aggrandizing lies. What's the purpose of these lies? Well, to aggrandize myself a bit. Williams had told about other incidents which they didn't release publicly but compiled in a lengthy file and video, the Washington Post reported at the time. Reporters dug up examples independently anyway, that he was at the Berlin Wall when it fell. You know, when the Berlin Wall came down, I was there. I remember I took a hammer out of my pocket. I made the first hole. In fact, I used the tip of my dick. I fucked that wall. That he witnessed a man killing himself at the Superdome during Hurricane Katrina. Sorry, you talking about Hurricane Katrina? No, I'm just talking about what to have for lunch. I see someone kill themselves at the Superdome during Hurricane Katrina. Oh yeah, what was he wearing? I don't know, I can't remember. I was wearing glasses. It was my cousin that saw him. Sorry, you don't know him. He's at a different school. But an Israeli helicopter, he loves the helicopters, he was riding in came under Hezbollah rocket fire and more. Though Williams took himself off the anchor's chair voluntarily, he didn't fully take responsibility. In a statement on the Iraq helicopter episode, he insisted that he told the story correctly for years before he told it incorrectly. I was telling that story correctly for many years, and then I thought it was a bit boring. More importantly, NBC chose to respond to one of their most trusted, well-known anchors publicly discrediting himself with a non-punishment for the ages. Williams was first suspended without pay from the NBC Nightly News anchor desk for 6 months. Unpleasant, but less harsh when you remember Williams was making in the ballpark of $15 million a year at that point. Right, that's it. You keep saying that you were flying a helicopter with the tip of your dick. Yeah, I was up there. I was batting down rockets with the tip of it also. Right. Well, we're only going to use £7 million this year because it's outrageous. Ugh. You know what? You keep talking to me like that, I'm going to use the tip of my dick to mind control you punks. I can do it, you know. I did the same thing for Hurricane Katrina, which I caused and solved with the tip of my dick. So, is mainstream media over? Are the mad spasms and crazy stories and polemicizing lies we see, the death rattle of a dying beast, the last croak of a dinosaur? Is new media like this channel and you 4,400,000 glorious cherubins the future? Can we create a new conversation? Can we rip the scales from our eyes? Can we awaken from the myth and the lies we've been bombarded with our whole lives and create new truths, new realities together? I believe we can, but that's just what I think. What do you think? What you think is much more important. Tell me in the comments below what you think about Brian Williams. Did you think that joke was good about the tip of the dick and all that sort of stuff? What do you think about mainstream media? Do you think Fox is just as bad as CNN, or do you quite like some of the cable news ones, depending on your political persuasion? And also, if you're in the UK, next year from February to May, I'm performing live all over the country. North, south, east, west. I'll be there in a helicopter. If you want to come see me live, click on the link below. If you like this video, have a look at this saucy little sod. It's almost just as good as this one. Or learn a little bit about well-being. Sign up to my Awakening side channel, and please sign up to my mailing list to receive regular bulletins about what I've been doing in helicopters this week. I got into a lot of trouble up in one with the Taliban. Stay free.